She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gets spot show.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the toppies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. Today, we have a full preview of the U.S. men's national team looking for a bounce-back result against 5th-ranked Brazil. We'll also get into a bit of the Euros prediction as that is starting this Friday. We'll run you through some top contenders there and answer some burning questions on our mind. But Mike, before we get into Brazil and the U.S., let's get into some headlines that have taken the footballing world today, starting with none other than who could be said as the Dutch Berhalter. Erik ten Hag will be staying at Manchester United. He won the FA Cup. It's I guess you could say it's similar to Berhalter winning CONCACAF Nations League. It's something. What do you see of this move with Erik ten Hag? It is new ownership, same manager that got them the worst table position that Manchester United has ever had.
He's not the Dutch Dutch Berhalter. That's disrespectful. He's a better manager than that. We'd be lucky to have him with the United States. But I kind of get it. I kind of thought this is the way they would go. Who knows, man? He hasn't shown anything great so far, but new owner, maybe they can get rid of some of these older guys who aren't cutting it, bring in some fresh talent that will actually work. I don't know. He's still not a great man manager, so there could be some more toxic relations that arise. We'll see, man. He did okay his first season, right? They got Champions League, and they won a Carabao Cup. He's got 2 trophies. He could be doing worse. Last season was very, very bad. There were a lot of injuries. We were harsh on him. Still don't think he's great. Has a lot to prove, and needs to start this next season strong, definitely.
I don't know if we were that. I mean, yes, we were harsh because we're clowning him and we're making fun, but I don't know if we were that harsh considering the way they actually played. The performances compared to the results were pretty awful. I think that trophy really saved him. I think without that FA Cup trophy, there is a 0% chance we are sitting here saying Erik ten Hag is still the manager. But listen, he's going to have the backing of the new managers. See if he can get back to that same success. I would imagine his leash next season will be relatively short, though. I think they're going to be a candidate for a mid-season move for sure. But speaking of the Premier League, a team that did get into Champions League, Aston Villa, are rumored or not rumored, but I guess Fabrizio Romano is reporting that it is pretty close to a done deal for McKennie, Samuel Illing Jr., and 20 million euros to be swapped to Aston Villa for Douglas Luiz. Mike, Juventus and McKennie were not close on a contract that has been really widely reported that he wants a pay upgrade. They're not willing to give it to him, although he has been their leading assister, although he has been a key player for them in their project this season. They do not want to upgrade his salary. This moving to the Premier League takes care of the salary issue because the Premier League can pay more. But is it a fair deal for Aston Villa for getting rid of a Douglas Luiz for a young prospect in Samuel Illing Jr., Wes McKennie, who's probably around 20 million in value, and then you have 20 million straight up euros?
It's kind of spot on with the valuation, with all those add-ons. It's a weird one, though. I mean, they're maybe getting rid of their best player, aside from Ollie Watkins. He was huge for them in the midfield. He did everything, defensively, obviously, and offensively. I mean, his goal contributions were really impactful this last season. It's a weird fit. I don't know how Wesson's going to really get into this team. I don't know what role he's going to be in. I assume they're not going to try to play him as as a defensive pivot guy. That's not what he does. I'm not familiar with Iling Jr. very, very much. I don't know what he has to offer. I don't know how promising he is. It's a weird one all around. I would like to see West in the Premier League, though. So from a fan perspective, it's kind of cool.
Yep, I know I saw a lot of people online rather upset from the Aston Villa side because McKennie does not have the greatest reputation after his Leeds season or half a season among the English fans. What I will say is if you are an Aston Villa fan, Douglas Luiz, I know a lot of people are saying he wanted to stay. He had offers of plenty of new contracts on the table. He was declining them all. He's obviously looking for a move. Juventus is a large club that obviously is attracting him. So he wants to move. If you have to get rid of him, getting the 20 million euros plus the Weston McKennie, who I think is an X factor in this deal. If Weston McKennie can play like he did this past season at Juventus, this is a pretty decent deal in terms of value. So I do think Weston McKennie this year was massively improved, obviously, than that Leeds season. So you will be getting a good player that can play really just about anywhere for you. It will become down to what Weston McKennie can be, because that is obviously a huge valuation in what this swap deal is. But there also are some other news.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I think this guy might have the biggest mouth in the Prem, right? Surely.
Pause.
Dude.
Pause.
He could fit a whole fucking apple in that thing.
Pause, and we are gonna recontinue at the new transfer rumor. I will not give this another.
How many millions is that worth?
Dude, like a Honeycrisp apple. Like a big one, you know?
We talking Gala here?
Ooh, a Gala apple's good. All right, Aston Villa won the deal.
All right, Aston Villa. You got some chompers there. We move though to not Aston Villa, but another Premier League team starting with an A. It is Arsenal, the mighty Arsenal. They were potentially rumored with Seško out of RB Leipzig, but he has signed a new deal with them, saying it's almost like a Hollandaise thing where it's a gentleman's agreement that they will sell him in the future, but he is staying for another year at RB Leipzig. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think this is a smart move. He's not jumping to a stage that is a step up from RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga in terms of the Premier League, and especially one of these really top sides. I think it's good for development for him to stay there. But,
I agree.
Mike, what do you make of the rumors of Lunin from Real Madrid getting some movement over towards Arsenal and Arteta's squad?
Yeah, another Ukrainian. Come to be friends with Nick's favorite player, Oli Zinchenko. I think it's kind of a good move. I think he's definitely going to want out of Real Madrid after the season he's had, especially in the Champions League, and then he gets dropped for the final. Maybe injury, maybe not. Seemed to be some rumor mill around that. But he's never going to start over Courtois. That's just the reality of it. Arsenal's going to move on from Ramsdale. I think he's going to want more playing time, and we'll see a move for him this summer. And then that gives him some rotation with David Raya. It seems like Mikel kind of completely lost his trust with Ramsdale, so was forced to play Raya pretty much every game throughout the season, which is okay for a goalkeeper. But if you have the option to rotate and the option to try new things when maybe your starting keeper's form isn't great, that's a good thing. And Lunin's definitely a proven keeper at a very high level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an interesting one. They've bought a lot of keepers, including our own Matt Turner. Here's an idea. Let's bring Matt Turner back, get him back to his Arsenal form. We are missing that at the U.S. men's national team.
No.
Once he left Arsenal, everything somewhat went downhill. So, listen, let's get him back there, get him back in training, and he can sit on the bench again. He was doing fine for us when he was on the Arsenal bench. It's the Nottingham Forest bench that is not doing him so hot here. But listen, it's a wonderful segue into our next friendly for the U.S. men's national team. It is against their second favorite team to watch based off of just interest, and that is Brazil. Brasileiro coming to America. The U.S. facing off against them in a friendly that they need something out of. They need something. I don't know exactly what that is, Mike, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But they need something. And Palmer, if you could bring up Brazil's projected lineup here. This is a concern. This is a concern, brother. This is tough. I mean, looking at this team, starting in the back, I mean, you have the Marquinhos, you have the Daniels, you have the Gumarães, you have the Paquetas, the Rafinhas, the Rodrygo, the Vinicius. There is no break for the U.S. men's national team when you're looking at the squad in terms of wildly talented players, and the players coming off the bench are just as damn good. You have Endrick, who is the next coming of Pele, off the bench, who scored off the bench against Mexico. This is tough. This is going to be a very, very hard game for the U.S. Let's get to know Brazil a little bit more. Their manager, Vini Jr., he is going to play somewhat similar to what Colombia did in terms of at least their pressing and transitional play. They are going to force mistakes out of the U.S. players if we try and play the Berhalter ball where, we're passing it in the back and we're trying to keep possession and disorient the opponent with crosses. If we do that, and we do not come at it with a pragmatic display, they are going to pressure it, they cause mistakes, and they are very quick in transition. That is what their kind of biggest key is, that they will make the beautiful passes straight through to all those three attackers that are wildly electric. They're going to be compact defensively. Their outside backs get back and are pretty defensively solid. It's going to be a very, very tough game. With that being said, Mike, what does success look like from a U.S. men's national team perspective going into this one, especially after a 5-1 loss to Colombia?
Success. Clear identity. Actual focus. Some aggression, right? We're outclassed. That's easy to say, just based on the lineups. But can we have an idea of what we want to achieve in this match? Whether that's smothering them on defense, having a really organized back line, which we didn't against Colombia. And what is our midfield going to put out? I mean, they were all over the place. I mean, there was no connected three that I could see when we played Colombia. And maybe Colombia is a more cohesive team than Brazil, but this is a team of stars, right? Look at the midfield. Those are all Premier League players, really good Premier League players at that. If we're getting as open, if we're leaning Johnny as exposed, I assume he's going to start at the 6. It's going to be ugly. We need a big game out of our fullbacks. When I look at Rafinha, Vini, and Rodrygo and the interchanges they have, the movement that they have, those guys aren't going to stay in those 3 positions, especially Vini and Rodrygo. There's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of drifting between those two. Can we stay organized? Can we pick up runners when we're beat to baseline or beat to goal line and we know the ball is going to come across? I'm going to lose my goddamn mind if there's a ball to the corner and we have 4 defenders in a line and no one near the PK spot where that guy's trailing behind, because it seems like teams know that we don't defend that very well and consistently score against us that way. So success would be defensive structure and taking the chances when we can.
Yep. I think just in terms of what you're looking at here, you need to adapt. You are going to see pretty similar things as you did against Colombia, but with higher talent levels than Colombia. So you don't get punished that much in CONCACAF for mistakes. You do get punished quite a bit against Colombia for your mistakes. If you were making mistakes against 5th ranked Brazil, I mean, they're, if not favorites to win Copa America, 2nd favorite to win Copa America here, Mike. So
for sure, yeah.
I mean, this could get very, very ugly. With that being said, we started kind of our first choice lineup last time out with all of our players that you'd probably expect would have started the first game of Copa America if it was that day. How much rotation do we see coming out of Gregg Berhalter and his men here? Because not only is this a gigantic opportunity to win against a Brazil team, get a result, get some type of confidence, but it's also an opportunity to say, hey, last game is unacceptable. 5-1. What type of rotation are you looking to make if you're in Gregg Berhalter's shoes here?
At least a few guys. Tim Ream cannot start this game. Even at Tim Ream's best, I don't like how he matches up with these attackers. These guys are really good with the ball, dribbling at you with pace. It's not Tim Ream's strong suit. And Antony is a great defender, right? But he's good on a straight line speed with traditional wingers who are looking to cross the ball in. Rafinha's not that. He's really left foot dominant. He's going to cut in. And if Tim Ream's his cover, I'm really nervous about that. But more importantly, it's the midfield. I think we need some guys who are more defensively sound. I thought Johnny Weston and Reyna, I got the vision, but didn't work. I need to see Musa out there who's going to do more defensive work, who's a better athlete than those guys. And if Adams is healthy, I'd like to see him get a go as well, because he could break up that interlinked. We know that Guimaraes is a destroyer. He's going to pick up loose touches, and he's really good at picking out a ball over the top or a ball that breaks lines if he has that time. So we need guys who are going to press him.
Yep, and part of that rotation, Mike, could be Tyler Adams. He was cleared by Gregg Berhalter in his pregame press conference. Said that Sargent was trending individually, will not be available for this one. Still looking at Copa America, but Tyler Adams is ready for 45 minutes of action. Is this a chance that we see somewhat more of what we saw against England? Really the only game that we really saw Gregg Berhalter have a more pragmatic defensive approach rather than playing our type of game. And he used that MMA midfield that, to be fair, kind of dominated that game for the U.S. Really saved that result. Is this a time that maybe we come out first 45 minutes, see an MMA midfield, see what it looks like against such a top team like this Brazil squad?
I'd love to. I mean, I think that three works really well together, and it's exactly what you need to smother the talent. I mean, Paqueta's really dangerous, especially when you give him time. Guimaraes as well, and Joao Gomez is a solid player too. If Douglas Luiz is subbed in too, that's another guy to deal with. So we need our best three, our most cohesive three, and a three that's worked well together in the past. So I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would love to see it. And if we do see that MMA, I still want Reyna. I think he gives a bit of control to the field. Like, what do you think about the Weah move, I guess, of Weah on that right wing kind of sinking into the midfield, McKennie swapping back and forth with him, but that being Reyna and McKennie, so that Reyna can come into the midfield, McKennie can move out wide, and kind of vice versa there.
I like it. I think that's a better idea. I like what Weah offers. I mean, he's an athletic freak. He has some really good moments, but putting Reyna on the wing allows for much more interchange. He's going to drift in. He's going to find the ball. And Weston's a smart enough player that he can pick up and find the space that's open. I'd like to see it at least tried. If that means dropping Weah out of the starting lineup, so be it. If that means starting him at right back to give that a go, that's also a good option. I like what Weah could match up with Vini. He has the pace. He's got the athleticism. And Joe Scally, fine performance, but I don't know how well he's going to fare against these guys.
Yeah, so the thing is, I think Joe Scally did a good job against Luis Diaz, so it might be harsh to not give him the start here and see what he can do against Vini Jr., but I mean, Vini Jr. is potentially going to win the Ballon d'Or this year. I don't know if Joe Scally can keep up just with the pace alone, just the sprinting. And I think Weah does potentially offer that. If you're going to see a right back option, maybe this is the time to see something else other than Joe Scally. And I think you can always fall back to Joe Scally. I think he did well in that other game, and not like this game was going to change too much of that idea.
And one more point on that. Defensively, for sure, that's the case. But offensively, even, if we can get an overlap out of Weah from right back, like,
you can make Vini defend. That is, that's a.
You make Vini track back, work more. You have Weah running at Wendell. I mean, if I look at this Brazilian team, their weakest parts are the outside backs, Danilo and Wendell, and maybe their goalkeeper. They're not starting Alice in this game, so they're good players, but they're not as class as everybody else in the lineup. If we can try to expose them there at their weakest link, that's a good shot.
Yeah, I think that is going to kind of be the way about it. Is you're going to have to attack fast down the wings and try and get some chances in transition against this team. I think it should be a more pragmatic approach here. But Mike, how pragmatic do you actually think the U.S. ends up being? Because that has not been Gregg Berhalter's DNA by a long shot. It has not been his DNA. Literally, the only game he's ever done that is against England. This is kind of name recognition, that same level as an England type of team, but it is also a friendly, and I think sometimes people shy away from that in friendlies to be playing it ugly, but I mean, that's how US got results in the past, is you play a little ugly and you get something on transition. I'm not opposed to doing that. I mean, I think that's what you have to do against these other teams. And I saw on ESPN FC, I believe it was Stevie, came out and said the US is not good enough to play the way they think they can play. We've seen it against the Dutch, we've seen it against Colombia, and you kind of mentioned this. They have that mentality that they should be playing some wonderful, beautiful game. That's what Brazil should be doing. Brazil has that mentality that if it's a 5-0 win, but they didn't play Jogo Bonito, then they're upset.
Yeah.
That is not America, brother. We are not quite there yet. How do you want to see Gregg Berhalter go about this in terms of potentially playing a little bit more ugly?
I want the pragmatic
approach.
Good
God, that picture.
I want the play as ugly as that photo.
I mean, love this picture.
Come
so
on.
much.
V-neck and a big collar. Give it to me. Yeah, I don't really care on how pretty the soccer is at the end of the day. It's a lot more able to stomach as a fan when we actually put out a performance that's cohesive and not idealistic. Like, yeah, I get we want to play pretty soccer. That's a good goal to have down the line against easier competition. But this is something we're going to need to do against these better teams. And yeah, we have Bolivia and Panama in our group, but we also have Uruguay. And are we going to try to play our brand of pretty soccer against them? It's not going to go well if we do. We're going to have to shut it down at some point this tournament. So practicing it beforehand, I think, is a good idea.
Yeah, and I think Gregg Berhalter gets a bit in his head, and I think just American players in general get a bit in their head, and I've seen this even at like club levels that Mike We've played at, where coaches want to play, hey, we're not going to play the ugly, direct style where you just kick it up and have people chase after it. They want to play that beautiful Pep Guardiola type system, the quick passes, the possession, because that is considered the sophisticated, elegant way of playing the beautiful game. It is the beautiful game. Whereas the direct style, though, I mean, you even saw that from Real Madrid in the Champions League semifinal against Manchester City. They sat back a bit and then they played on the counterattack. They played those long balls, and it works. That is just something that you have to do sometimes if you want to win, not just change how people view American soccer. But Mike, I want your opinion on this quote from Berhalter, because it is something about performance and how they're going to look. He said in his pregame conference, it's not about the performance, it's about the performance, not about the result of this game. What do you take from that, saying it's not about the result for this?
I think he's technically correct. It is about the performance. It is a friendly. It is getting us ready. But the result usually has some indication on how the performance went, right? The performance was shit and the result was shit against Colombia. They both went hand in hand. Yeah, we could have a good performance and lose 2-0 against Brazil. That could happen. That very well might happen. But if we're getting dominated like we did, it's not the performance. Once again, we failed on both aspects. So yes, it's true to a degree, but most often they reflect each other.
Yeah, I would say that I don't want the manager saying something that it's not about the results.
It's a poor
in
mindset.
any game. I understand, like, I'm not trying to be unfair to Gregg Berhalter. You're playing against Brazil. You just got your ass whooped against Colombia, so I'm expecting the U.S. to come out here and beat Brazil. But I don't think you say it's not about the result no matter what. I mean, if you're a competitive person, it's always going to be about the result. Yeah, you want a good performance, and that certainly helps you out, but it should always be about results in this industry. Well,
why did we set up the friendlies if it's not, right? Why are we playing Colombia and Brazil beforehand? If we wanted to have some great performance, set up some easier competition to get the team feeling good before the tournament. This has to be about proving ourselves against legit competition. That's the only way it makes sense.
I think you have to prove you can get a result. I think actually somebody in today's press conference said, what type of result in Copa America in this game do you think could end up getting you fired? And he said, well, that's not my job to discuss. We're just trying to do the best we can. And the pressure is certainly mounting on him. He needs some type of result to hang his hat on. But Mike, on the opposite side, not hanging your hat on, what gets Gregg Berhalter fired in this game against Brazil? Is there a way he gets fired a week and a half-ish before Copa America here?
No, I don't have that much faith in the Federation to make that kind of gutsy move. They've never done it. They never will, from what I've seen. So he's safe through the tournament at the very least. What I think should get him fired is a result that reflects what we saw against Colombia. If it's resembling that kind of performance, if the players are that tuned out, not performing, abandon the game plan as soon as they go down a goal, heads are sunk, let me just play individually, then it's completely obvious that he's lost the team. The players have no faith in any sort of system. He needs to go. But will the Federation recognize that? Will it happen? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough one for USSF to make any type of swift action on this one. The worst nightmare for me, Mike, is if he does get a decent result in this one, maybe just a close loss, they look a little bit better. Copa America, they beat a Bolivia team that has not looked great in recent form, a Panama team that they should beat, lose to a Uruguay, and then lose in the quarterfinal. And it's everything that you maybe expect, betting odds expect. And that's just average, and the USSF is fine with that, and they keep Gregg Berhalter. I think we've seen enough at this point that it's not an average result that should keep Gregg Berhalter. You need to get to a semifinal if there's any type of chance for him to stay. Is that fair on Gregg Berhalter that he has to get to a semifinal if he's expected to stay?
Getting to a semifinal means he's going to beat Colombia or Brazil, right? More than likely.
Exactly.
Those are going to be the two teams that get out of their group. And I don't expect us to win the group. So it'll most likely be Brazil. I mean, no disrespect to Colombia, but I think they're just edge you out by a bit. I don't think we should necessarily make a semifinal based on the skill. It's kind of an unfair ask, but the situation he's put himself in with how poor it's been, that has to be the requirement. He's been so shit that we need something that amazing, that productive, right? That would save his job for sure. He would definitely be safe through 2026.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're at the end of your semester in college and you're looking at your
You need to ace
grades.
that exam, dude.
What can you do to get the
B+ at worst.
4.0, the best grade, and it says you need 152%. You're gonna need to get that goddamn extra credit. It's not just the average passing grade needed.
Semifinals would be overperforming, but
exactly,
yeah.
You need that extra credit. At this point, you have bombed the course. You need that extra credit if you want to keep that grade or keep a pass. Mike, we move from preparation for Copa America with Brazil and the U.S. men's national team to the Euros 2024. A whole lot of hype around this one. A whole lot of hype around a lot of squads, obviously including England most of all. Mike, let's break down some of these key contenders. And like I said, England garners that most attention. What do you see from England's group here? What do you see in terms of England in not the most convincing friendly send-off versus Iceland, a loss 1-0, but boy, do they have some attacking talent on that squad.
They do. Pretty disappointing result for them. I mean, Iceland's the minnows. It happened to them in the 2016 Euros, right? And it happened again here. But I don't look too much into that. I think they're in one of the easier groups. Serbia is a fine team. Denmark's been solid in the past, and Slovenia has some young guys. Sesko for sure. Or is he on Slovakia? I always confuse the two.
I'm gonna be honest. I do not know.
I don't know.
Search it up.
Sorry, my Slovenians and Slovakians. But England should be able to coast through this group.
He is Slovenian.
He is Slovenian. I knew it. Never in doubt. I think they'll ease through this group. The team's just good enough, and they have enough attacking talent. Even with the defense being not as solidified as it has been in past tournaments. Don't love their center back options. And I still don't trust Southgate to make the best selections for the 11 on the day. But should be enough to get them through the group. We'll see who they match up with in the knockout rounds. It's got to be a deep tournament run for them. They're the favorites for the betting. They're the favorites for a lot of fans. And on paper, you got to say they have the first or second best team.
Yeah, I think if not them, and it might be
France
might be
and them,
and
probably,
France.
right?
Yeah, but I will say that I do share that concern about their defense. I think Branthwaite being left at home is an interesting one. I do think that Declan Rice can kind of shore up some of those issues that you might see out of that back line. But if they do not win, I'd imagine it's on that back line, not on the wild amount of talent in that midfield and attack. But it also could just be on Gareth Southgate, our lovely man over there. Let's move over to Germany in Group A. They will be in our first game of the Euros against Scotland. Germany, with Julian Nagelsmann, has had a revolution. They have turned around what was a long stretch of disappointing results. Obviously looking for something big here in the Euros at home. Where do you see Germany going in this one? They have some mega talents in that midfield in terms of Florian Wirtz and Musiala. They have Leroy Sané. I mean, they have the talent they need. How far does it actually go, though? Because that's been the issue for them.
It has been. They've been in a kind of a decade of a slump since that 2014 victory. Really poor, gone through a few managers, and the squad's changed a whole bunch. I think their 11 that they're going to put out is going to be really strong. Having Kroos back in the deep lying playmaker position, that's going to be huge. I've liked what they've been doing, fitting in their best attacking players with Wirtz and Musiala kind of going on each side of Gundogan in the midfield. That's a great way to get the most out of them. Allows for a lot of interchange. I think their biggest prove-it position is going to be the striker. I've seen Kai Havertz there in a few of the friendlies. They have Füllkrug obviously on the bench, Denny Undav, a few guys that they can test out, but no one who's an absolute killer. No one who's going to be a certified bag man when it comes down to crunch time. So someone needs to step up. I think defensively they're really solid. They have a lot of the Leverkusen guys integrated in the team, and obviously with Neuer or Ter Stegen in goal, most likely Neuer, they're pretty shored up there. It's a good team. I think Nagelsmann's a good coach, and the group's pretty favorable as well. I think they'll have no problem getting through there. We'll have to see what the knockouts look like.
Yeah, definitely a favorable group for the hosts there. We move to France. We must not go any words past anything with France without saying Mbappe. He is the star of world football at the moment. He has been now to 2 straight World Cup finals. Scored a hat-trick in the last one against Argentina. Still was not able to get it done there. Does he get it done in the Euros with France this time?
Yeah, put my money on France. Sorry, England, it's not coming home quite yet. France is just too good, and Mbappe's too good, and he loves an international tournament. Hasn't won the Euros yet. Definitely he's going to want to add that to his trophy cabinet, going to Real Madrid in the fall. So I see no one else other than Netherlands and France getting out of this group. And then I don't know who's going to be able to stop that French attack. It's so good. So much talent. And their defensive line, probably the strongest in the tournament. Absurd.
Yeah.
We'll see if Saliba's playing. I mean, not loved by Deschamps.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
I believe he's a third choice center back,
which is crazy.
Behind, yeah. But I will say that Mbappe will have some extra incentive. Obviously, winning the Euros with your country is plenty of incentive. But if he wins this, I would say he's a locked-on favorite if Vinicius does not win Copa America with Brazil to win the Ballon d'Or, and that's certainly something that you want to make the legacy that he is looking to make, moving to Real Madrid, having these gigantic moves. It's something you need. Moving to, speaking of Real Madrid, the Spanish national team, a team that is also a quite interesting young team here. Don't think they're on the same level as maybe in England as a France, but they are certainly an exciting team that can get something done here. They've been on some decent form recently. What do you want to see out of Spain in this one? Do they get as far as maybe their previous teams have?
I don't know. Spain's a little tricky for me. It's a
Group
tough
is
group.
horrible.
Yeah. I mean, Italy, Albania, Croatia. Those are some good teams. Croatia and Italy especially. Not the strongest Italian roster I've ever seen. Actually pretty weak. But I'm sure they'll still put out some decent performances. Spain, a lot of young players. I think I need a big tournament out of Lamine Yamal. It's a lot of soccer for him. Played a lot for Barcelona this year, and he's a super young kid. Hope he's still got fresh legs, and he's able to have a great impact. I think he could be their most impactful attacking player. It's not the strongest area in the team. The midfield's definitely deep. The defense is solid. But up top, it's the likes of Ferran Torres, Alvaro Morata, Dani Olmo, Oyarzabal. Good players, but no world beaters, where Lamine Yamal definitely has that potential. Could really make an impact.
Yep. I think we get into two more dark horse candidates, people that maybe aren't talking about these teams enough. It is Portugal, who just came off of a Cristiano Ronaldo brace, including one absolute fucking banger today with his left foot. Go watch it if you have not seen it yet. They have a stacked roster here, Mike. Are they your dark horse candidate to make some noise in this tournament, potentially win it? I mean, they did win it before against France, but sheesh, they have gotten far more stacked now.
Yeah, and it's weird to call them a dark horse. They're just outside of that top four, whatever teams in the tournament. And they probably have the most favorable group. Turkey's not particularly strong. Georgia, their first ever Euros, I believe. A couple of great players. Kvaratskhelia for sure, but not a deep team. And then Czech as well. So they should have no problem getting out of there. It's interesting. Their midfield is super good. The defense is really solid. I think it's going to be determined on what they can get out of their old guys, their main boys. Pepe will probably start most games at center back. If he can have a strong performance, which I'm sure he will, he's usually composed and makes up for the lack of pace with just pure positioning and grace. And then Ronaldo. What are we going to get out of him? Is he going to beat the rumors that he's washed? Is he going to beat the hate? I personally would love to see it. Say what you want about Ronaldo. You can have your opinions, but he's one of the best to ever do it. And can he find Portugal some international success again as a 40-year-old man? I wouldn't doubt him. I think he should still be starting at striker for them. Gonzalo Ramos, fine, but didn't have a great season for PSG. And you know what you're going to get out of Ronaldo. He's still a threat when he gets the ball around the box. You don't need him to run. You have enough guys to do it for him.
Yeah, I think he is just a fox in the box, a finisher, and one of the all-time greats. I would love to see Ronaldo have an amazing tournament here. There's a lot of amazing players on that Portugal squad. We'll see what they will do. And potentially another dark horse candidate that beat the U.S. in the World Cup, the Dutch, the Netherlands here. Like, they also have quite the collection of talent with Xavi Simons. They will not have Frankie de Jong, but they have Van Dijk, they have De Ligt, they have Mikey van de Ven, they have Tijani Reinders that has come on recently, Memphis Depay. I mean, Frimpong. I mean, the list of their talent, I'm probably missing a lot, but they are a very, very good squad here. Coming off in their kind of friendlies leading up to this, 2 4-0 wins. They have looked dominant, Mike. They're in a group with France, and Poland and Austria are still tough teams, but boy, do you see a run to be made here by this Dutch team?
Yeah, sure. Why not? They're a great team. But they do lack in a few areas where I don't think they can get the gold. Sure, I think they could make a deep run. They could beat a lot of teams. They're super good defensively, like always. But that Frankie De Jong injury, it's huge.
Those hurt.
Have that workhorse, the dude who does everything in the midfield missing. I don't know how they're going to replace him. He really is indispensable. And up top is another spot where I think they struggle. They have some talent, some young guys, Bakayoko, Robbie, Depay, but no one who's an out and out bag man, fox in the box, right? I mean, the closest thing they have to
the term bagman today.
Bagman, dude. I love the term bagman. But who's their killer in front of goal? I mean, are they going to rely on Wout Weghorst? I don't know.
Not.
I hope not either. But I do love that defense. I mean, you have Van Dijk, Daley Blind, Van Dijk, De Ligt, Van Dijk, Ake in the middle, and then you have Van de Ven and Frimpong running up the wings. Pretty deadly. And Van de Ven at left back is insane. I mean, you can really see his pace at that position.
Yep. So, Mike, with all this, we've ran through some favorites. We ran through some dark horse favorites. What group do you think is the toughest group here? What is the quote unquote group of death? Is it a group B with Spain, Croatia, Italy? Is it a group D with the depth of Poland, Netherlands, Austria, France, or is it another one for you?
It's Group B. I don't think Austria and Poland are overly strong. Austria missing David Alaba this tournament, so I'd have to go with Group B.
All right, no Lewandowski. Respect.
He picked up an injury as well, but he should be good for the tournament.
Yeah. Mike, who do you see, with all this being said about all these teams, who do you see being the biggest disappointment of these main teams here?
I'll go with Belgium. I think they're going to continue their decline. They have some young guys who are talented, but I don't think they're going to pull it together. Could see De Bruyne getting frustrated and kind of fading again this tournament, and I don't love their defense, so I think they could be the biggest disappointment of the tournament.
Yeah, I think a big thing for them there is no Thibaut Courtois in net for them. That is a massive miss. He is the world's best keeper.
Come on, Metzel.
Tough one to miss out on there. And then, Mike, we've ran through some candidates, but who is your dark horse candidate for the tournament here? Would you put your money on to make a run?
And we're considering Portugal in this, correct?
Yes, we are considering them maybe the lightest dark horse.
The lightest dark horse. Give it to Portugal then. I like it. I love their midfield. Paulinho, Bernardo, Bruno. Could be worse.
Could be worse. Gonna go with jeez. What's another one other than Portugal that'd be a good shout? Let's go with Slovenia.
The Scots. Dude.
All right.
I think actually, you know what? I'm going to Hungary. I'm switching it up already. Hungary, they have some ballers over there.
Come on, Shabashly.
Go with them. Shabashly to lead them the way.
Who do you think
Mike
is going to be the breakout player of the tournament?
No, dude, it's the Scots.
Scots could make some noise.
Scots good.
I saw a video the other day. One of you, I think, sent it of one of their chants. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah. We ain't no Argentina.
Those guys fucking.
But we got John McKennie.
Is that an electric Scottish crowd,
bro?
Breakout player of the tournament, I think, is going to be. I'll give it to Florian Wirtz. The home tournament, Florian Wirtz coming off of a wildly amazing season for Bayer Leverkusen. I think he is going to shine for Germany in a home tournament, in a favorable group. What about you, Mike? What are you seeing here?
Torn between two players. One being Lamine Yamal, but I'm going to go with Zaire Emery on France. I think if he gets a chance in the midfield, dude can make a lot of noise. He's a really complete midfielder for 17.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset we didn't say somebody from England. So who will be the star of this English team? Is going to be the star boy, Jude Bellingham? Is it going to be I don't know, Cole Palmer? I can't believe it after the pictures he took today. There's zero aura there.
No aura. Easy answers, Harry Kane, but if they're going to have success in this tournament, the star boy's got to be Declan Rice. He's going to do everything for them. Shield that back line, boss the midfield, take the ball up into attack. It's got to be him.
Yeah, I'm looking at Phil Foden here. Player of the season in the Premier League. I think if he gets involved, good God, Cole Palmer. There's no aura there.
That's a handsome fella.
The snoring, you could just imagine that guy exhibiting, might be worse than the fireworks people set off outside hotels. I think it's gonna be Phil Foden. I think he's a class player. I think he's proven himself a man for the big moments. Mike, any final thoughts? U.S. men's national team versus Brazil. Euros 2024, starting Friday.
Yeah, final thoughts. We've been overly negative, rightfully so, about the United States national team because it's been a bad 48, 72, whatever amount of hours to be a United States national team fan. A lot of doubt, a lot of the same questions creeping up. But I want to say I still support the boys. Still think there's a team there, and I still think there's hunger. I think these guys want to achieve something, and there's a lot of them who are really bought in. No more than Christian Pulisic. He's our man. Tyler Adams, he is our leader. These guys can put together good performances, and they can make a run in this tournament. I still believe it, but that performance really dampened my spirits, and I hope I see a glimmer of hope tomorrow. Otherwise, I might be right back on screaming at the team.
A glimmer of hope is all we need. I know that our U23 team or our Olympic team just lost 2-0 to Japan tonight. Did get dominated in that one. Made a lot of mistakes. Did not look great. But U.S. men's national team fans, I talked to you today in a Brazil kit. Sorry about that. But it is always darkest before the dawn, and it is pretty damn dark. So I'm saying, God damn it, we are due for a dawn, baby.
Let there be
light.
We
are due for a dawn. Keep this bookmarked after this Brazil game, and we'll see how it goes. But we are due for a dawn. Until next time, we will have a review for this Brazil U.S. men's national team, and we'll keep you updated throughout the Euros. So subscribe, like, and keep it here. Peace.